In this session, we are going to talk about the key characteristics that make a research question valuable. Generally, a valuable research question should be significant, innovative, scientifically rigorous, and feasible to be conducted. A crucial factor for a valuable research question is its significance to the field of nursing as an independent discipline. The evidence generated from the study should have the potential to make a meaningful contribution to nursing practice. When evaluating the significance of a research question, you can ask the following kinds of questions. Is this question of significance for nursing and its clients? Will patient care benefit from the study's findings? Will the study's findings be applicable to specific clinical settings? If answers to all these questions are no, then it may be necessary to choose a different research question. The second important characteristic of a valuable research question is innovation. Innovation is the soul of a high-quality study and can be reflected in the following aspects. The first one is focusing on a new clinical problem or outcome. For example, guided by the philosophy of positive psychology, researchers have shifted from focus from participants' negative experience, such as patients' or caregivers' depression and burden, nurses' burnout, to their positive experiences, such as patients' or caregivers' gain, post-traumatic growth, intrinsic capacity, and nurses' career success. In this example, some new concepts and outcomes of interest have been introduced. Another example of innovation is reflected in the interventional studies. Rather than only focus on indicators of effectiveness and safety, researchers also try to answer the cost-effectiveness or cost utility of the newly developed intervention. Such studies can be treated as innovative studies. The second one is focusing on a specific population with certain characteristics. As known, different populations such as participants with various ages or cultural backgrounds have diverse clinical problems. The relationships among research variables and appropriate interventions are also different in these populations. Therefore, studies focus on the participants with a specific age range or cultural background can also be treated as innovative ones. The third one is using innovative methodology or interdisciplinary techniques to solve problems in nursing. For example, the development of risk prediction models have evolved from using traditional logistic regression models to applying various machine learning algorithms such as Lanczos regression, decision tree, neural networks, and k-nearest neighbor. This is a demonstration of methodological innovation. An example of methodological innovation is a study entitled Clustering Analysis of the Care Problems of People with Dementia based on the minimum spanning tree algorithm, a cross-sectional study. In this study, the researchers utilized a new data analysis method, which is the minimum spanning tree algorithm, to identify the core care problems and correlations among care problems in people with dementia. to further examine the relationships among different clusters and items of caring problems in depth. The researcher analyzed the data using network analysis for the cross-sectional study. Centrality indices, including strength, closeness, and betweenness, were presented to identify the most central care problem and clusters in the networks. The fourth one is exploring a research problem and relationships among research variables from a new perspective. The new perspective often arises from the theoretical models or the latest policy guidelines. For example, an innovative intervention program to improve the intrinsic capacity of older adults may be developed based on the social-ecological theory. This theory enables researchers to develop a diversified intervention program to enhance the intrinsic capacity from micro, meso, and macro perspectives. An additional example is a study on developing a model of factors and interventional strategies based on the re-socialization theory to influence the health status of migrant older adults. Scientific rigor is also the issue you need to consider. It is important that the key variables and their relationships involved in the study are supported by theoretical frameworks when a research question is identified. For example, in the study entitled "The Influence Parts of Internal and External Resources on Gain of Family Caregivers of People with Dementia," researchers used Kramer's conceptual model of caregiver adaptation as the theoretical foundation. They employed a structural equation model to determine the mediating role of internal resources, for instance, coping style and self-efficacy, and external resources such as social support, dementia care service support, between care background, for instance, patients and caregivers' characteristics and gain. In interventional studies, new interventions developed to be validated for a particular problem should also be supported by certain theoretical frameworks to ensure that they are more likely to produce positive results and do not cause serious harm. In addition, scientific rigor is also demonstrated when research questions are aligned with policies and disciplinary development trends. The last but not the least one is feasibility. Some research questions may be thought-provoking. However, not all problems are appropriate to be answered through a study, especially those problems of a moral or ethical nature that cannot be studied through traditional research methods. A research question may become infeasible if the study has unfair or unethical requests from the participants. Introducing a new intervention or measuring outcomes through its implementation process may violate ethical principles if it has the potential to cause physical or psychological harm to participants. Most studies have deadlines, so the research question must be the one that can be completed within the allocated time. To be conservative is necessary when you estimate the time required for each step. As you know, actual research activities often take longer time than the one initially anticipated. In any study that involves human subjects, researchers need to consider whether study participants will be available and willing to cooperate. Obtaining participants' cooperation is often a great challenge. Some individuals may not have the time or interest to participate, while others may not feel well enough to participate. Researchers may need to take considerable efforts to recruit participants, or they may need to provide gifts as a token of appreciation. To obtain objective outcomes, an increasing number of studies are incorporating physical, biological, genetic, and imaging measures and techniques in the study. For example, some studies may use spirometry to measure pulmonary function, or a hand grip dynamometer to measure grip strength, or use a body composition analyzer to measure muscle mass, as well as electroencephalogram, air movement detection devices, and fMRI to obtain psychological and cognitive measures. It is important to consider the equipment and techniques used in the study and to ensure their availability before study starts. Another factor may influence the feasibility of a study is the research experience. The research question should be related to a topic about which you have prior knowledge or experience. Research expertise should also be taken into consideration. New researchers can ensure the successfulness of their studies by seeking the guidance of experienced researchers or inviting them into their research teams. Gaining access to study settings and building trust relationships with the relevant stakeholders may be necessary. In institutional settings such as hospitals or long-term care facilities, authorization is required to access clients, personnel, or clinical records. Budget needs for studies can vary wildly. If you have a limited budget, carefully consider projected expenses before selecting a research question. The main categories of a research-related budget include the following. Participant costs should be taken into consideration, including payments made as incentives for participation or to offset expenses. Equipment costs, including laboratory apparatus, computers and software, computer disks, audio or video recorders, calculators, and so on. Laboratory fees may include costs for analyzing biophysiological data. Printing costs can include expenses for questionnaires and other materials. Transportation fees may include travel to participants' homes. Personnel costs refer to payments made to individuals to assist with the study, such as for conducting interviews, coding, data entry, and transcription. To sum up, in this session, we have discussed the characteristics of a valuable research question in terms of significance, innovation, scientific rigor, and feasibility. In the next session, we will talk about how to formulate specific research questions based on a valuable research problem. Thanks for your attention.